the priorities. There we go. The priority structures that you built in your life. And so there are at least probably 30, maybe more people on this call, many of which are not part of the Chad Smith team, but they're part of what we call the Real Solution. And so the Real Solution is a coaching community, and it's also open to any brokerage, but the people that are on this one today are part of Realty of America. And what the Real Solution is it's a belief system that we're going to put God first, then our spouse if we have one, then our children if we have them, and then pursue excellence in business to serve everyone we have an opportunity to serve with excellence. And so when I met Gabe, I knew that we had alignment on that. And so what we're going to talk about today is how we can build these communities, and then through those communities build Realty of America. And then we're going to get into a conversation about how we are all now owners of this company. So with that, I give it back to you. Gabe, go ahead. For all the Real Solution people and everybody out here in Texas and other places, tell us about you.
Absolutely. Well, hey, good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Mendez calling from out of San Diego, California. And as you can tell, for the people who do know me, Winner's Circle, and everyone we're in business with, you guys probably can tell by now why Chad and I clicked as quick as we did, and why we aligned as fast as we did. The moment he said, "Hey, Gabe, this is how I structure, this is the value of my business here. I have God first, my wife, then my kids, and then it's excellence in my business." I looked over my shoulder. I'm like, man, is this guy looking at my profile on Instagram as he's reading? I mean, this guy is right. He's a straight arrow, good guy. I mean, when he said excellence in business, I mean, you were speaking my language. So anyhow, good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Mendez, born and raised out of San Diego. Family's I'm first generation from Mexico. My family was all born in Mexico throughout different parts. In 2007, we were victims of predatory lending. We ended up losing everything. First house we ended up owning. One of the most humbling experiences we ever had. And a few years later, I had the privilege of working as an administrative assistant to a top performing real estate team in San Diego. Two teams at one time, TC to both of them. And I remember one job in particular where I had to go get the disclosure sign, went out there, lady was crying, came back to the office, and I asked my team lead, what was going on? Why were so many of his clients upset, sad, and crying? And he told me that they were losing their home. And that was a full circle moment for me. And at that moment, I remember having a very just direct conversation with my family and finding out that's exactly what happened to us too. We ended up being victims of predatory lending where we got a loan that was bad, couldn't afford to pay it anymore, and ended up getting foreclosed on and losing our home. So in 2013, I decided to get my real estate license. December 31st, 2013 was the date I actually received it. Went ahead and next couple of years, I said, I'm going to be that guy that vouches for first-time buyer, first-generation home sellers and home buyers. So I went on this crusade of advocating for people who didn't have a voice. I wish I could tell you it was the most victorious thing that happened over the next couple of years, but it wasn't. I ended up going through some struggles, had my car repossessed, lost everything during that time frame, and went and got a job. Well, went back into sales in 2015 again, decided to go all in because there was this calling in my life. Now, this is kind of where I believe, there's a certain level of involvement that God has in our lives where he says, this is where you're going. And it's our job to have that ability to be able to discern what path that is, to be able to be wise enough and say, I'm not going to create my own path, but be wise enough to know that there is a path. And so I went with the ebb and flow of work with life, and I decided to not go back into real estate, but I did a few years afterwards, after I failed horribly. 2015, I got back into it, built a business. First year, 6 figures. And ever since then, I've climbed the ladder, as they say, of success. In the last few years, haven't earned less than 775,000, just about 800,000 in the last few years. But I went from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures to $500,000 to breaking my first $1 million year in 2021, second $1 million year in 2022. The last 6 years ranked top 1% from SDAR and PSAR, which are associations in San Diego. In the last 5 years, top 250 with NAREP. And then last year, having the privilege of being ranked #1 in our office, and my team was ranked #2. So it's been a privilege to climb the ladder, and as they say, branched off and went from being a solo agent to a team leader. Ended up starting what's called the A Better Me, also known as Art of Real Estate, which is my coaching platform. Chad, kind of like your Real Solutions. Launched that on school. We had about 85 paying students at one point. My wife and I ended up launching our YouTube career. We had 75,000 subscribers on YouTube, 124,000 on Instagram. We gained popularity through social media. And then my partner and I, Monica Singer, not sure if she's on the call right now, but about a few years ago, her and I connected and said, hey, you know what? You're killing it. I'm killing it. I'm at Century 21. You're at a mom and pop's brokerage. Why don't we get together and try out this thing called EXP and see what we can do? Had our stint over there, did 2 years, built a team of 225 to 250 agents across the country in about 2 years. And then afterwards, we met this powerful couple called Max and Claudia Zaker. A big shout out to our fearless leaders, the Zakers, Mo, Chuck, and of course, Mark and Eddie, can't leave them out, who presented this opportunity a few months ago, 7 months ago. Wasn't looking for it, happy where we were at, doing really, really well, and ended up moving over, and here we are today. So long story long, it's exciting to be here, man. It's been a journey, but I've documented everything, been excited to say that I've taken the entire journey and put it into a format where I'm able to teach agents moving forward, and excited to be here with all of you guys. So thank you for giving me your time and attention. Excited to be here.
That's awesome, Gabe. Congrats on all your success. And it's been really great. You know, the conversation today is going to be about Realty of America and this kind of new modern way to create a community. And, you know, right off the bat, one of my biggest gratitudes is for Realty of America are the people that I have already met just in a handful of months. And, you know, there are so many things to learn in real estate. Man, I mean, none of it is super complex, but there are thousands of things to learn. And it's fun to build and grow with people that have maybe figured out pieces of it that you haven't figured out yet. You know, I'm just kind of looking at all the participants on here. You know, there are agents on this call, like, for example, Angelique Burkett, and she's the agent that I've mentioned to you about that is so great at building her sphere of influence. You've got Alondra Duran on this call. You've got Miguel on this call, and Jonathan Cook. They excelled at social media, as have you, Gabe. And I mentioned to you when we did 106 million in a year, I had 2 friends on Facebook. And so, you know, we're playing catch up in some areas, and then you excelled at others. And then when you're not afraid of success, then you can learn so much faster when you get in a room where people are willing to share, because they realize that their only competition is going on between their 2 ears. And so,
absolutely. You know what? On that note, Chad, why don't we have chat? Why don't you guys let us know where are you calling out of today? What part of the country are you out of? Drop it in the chat. Where are you guys out of today? I want to see how big the reach is. Let's see here. We have Crowley, Texas, Los Angeles,
the Colony,
Pasadena, a couple LA, Arlington. Hey, Texas is showing up today. Hold up. Hey, California, where are you? Come on, let's make some noise over here. Texas is they're showing up. Oregon, there we go. At the West Coast. Texas, Cali. Oh man.
Love it.
It's great. Well, hey team, you know, like Chad was talking about, you know, today we're going to be discussing, kind of going pretty deep into that law of attraction training that we went over, and a lot about the company and the background. So Chad, we have, you know, 40 minutes of going deep into it and maybe leaving some time for Q&A. Where do you want to start?
Well, I can share either through Zoom. I can also do it this way. So you tell me, let me show you this. I can set it up this way. And let's just take a look at this real quick and see if everybody can see it well enough.
Yep, that looks good.
What do you guys think about that? That way Gabe can stay on. All right, so give me 1 sec. Let me move a couple things around so I can navigate.
Vanessa says yes. Todd says you're getting bribed. I love it, Todd. Hey, chat, can you guys drop it down below? Does this format that he has where he has a slide next to his image, does it work with you? Can you see both Chad and I and the slides? Brendan says, I like it. Okay, this is great. Kevin says yes.
We can
All
see
right,
both.
Cool. All right, perfect.
Okay.
So I'm going to move this around. All right, so we're in. All right, so let's get going.
Chad.
All right. So, Gabe, feel free to chime in as much as you want, because we had quite a task when we presented this in Chicago, because we were sharing the stage with Mark and Eddie. And, we want to defer to them as much as possible because their stories are so incredibly compelling. And a couple of the things that we mentioned right out of the gate when we met in Chicago was when you're doing this, the number one thing that we want to do, if you're talking to someone about Realty of America, before you even share Mark and Eddie's story, is you want to take the time to find out about the person that you're speaking with. So, and we use this example. If you were gonna meet with a seller, if you were gonna set a listing appointment, we would never go on that listing appointment unless we knew how long have they lived there, what do they owe, what do they think or hope that it's worth, are they meeting with any other agents, what's the condition of the home, is it ready to sell now, are they going on any vacations, all the questions, right? And so when it comes to Realty of America and an opportunity as big as this is, we can be so excited that we just start spewing Realty of America before we know anything about who we're talking to. And it can come across poorly because we didn't take the time to find out about them. So the first thing we want to communicate is that before we get into the story, let's find out about who it is that we're talking to. How long have they been in real estate? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What inspired them to get in? Are things working well right now? What things are working now? What do they feel like their gaps are? What do they wish they had in the environment? And then if we're really good listeners, we'll take notes. And if we ask enough questions up front, in the same way that we can serve sellers and buyers and investors in the right way by asking enough questions, we'll know what parts of the story to share if we take the time to find out about who we're talking to. Anything to add to that, Gabe?
Yeah. So I want to gauge the room here really quickly. So how many of you here out of the 72 people that we have on the call, how many of you have any level of interest in growing your revenue share team, also referred to as a downline, also known as agent attraction, also known as recruiting? Who here on the call out of the 72 people or 74 have any level of interest in growing that part of the business? Can you guys drop into the chat? I just want to gauge who we're here with today. Okay,
Yeah.
let me see.
Yeah,
We got
absolutely.
Okay, we got a pretty good amount. We got about 10 so far that say yes, 15. Okay, so we got about 15. All right, 20%. All right, perfect. Okay, so the reason I wanted to ask that question is because I want to go a little deeper into that point that Chad was just talking about. Thank you, Mirna. Thank you, Desiree. All right, so this is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is why it's important what Chad's discussing with you is this. Team, before we go door knocking, before we go cold calling, before we go running ads on social media to try to target a buyer, a seller, or a homeowner, we don't just throw the ad on social media without doing some due diligence. We don't just start knocking on doors without doing some due diligence. We first ask the title company, true or true, we ask the title company, of the doors that I'm knocking on in this development, which ones are owner occupied? And of the owner occupied homes, who has lived there 3+ years, 2+ years? So I know that they have some equity and I know that that owner is living at that house. Otherwise, what ends up happening is this. If you don't prepare, you don't ask the questions, you don't do your homework, you end up knocking on doors and having a just listed, just sold, trying to convince someone to sell their property to buy with a tenant in place. And yeah, could you pivot? Could you say, yeah, you're renting, are you thinking about buying? But that just shows a lack of preparation. And if you're stumbling and fumbling through your words when you're reaching out to these agents, they can sense it. So treat this like you would treat it like you would a listing appointment. How many years has the owner lived there? What's the loan balance? What are they scared of? Are they afraid of selling their home and having nowhere to move to? So you probably have to bring up the contingencies to protect them. Same thing with the agent. We're probably gonna get a little deeper into this in a moment, but I'm just gonna bring it up now. Every single real estate agent you talk to, whether they're a brand new agent or a team leader or a broker owner, all of them have experienced similar pains at some point in their
Right.
career. What are the pain point, Chad? What are the pain points of a brand new agent?
Well, they don't know what to say. They don't know where to get leads. They don't know that they have validity. I mean, there are plenty when they're a brand new agent.
And what are some of the pain points that team leaders have?
Oh man, the challenge for team leaders is finding the talent that will take what they're teaching and put it into action. Right? Take
Finding good.
corresponding action.
So, see, Chad and I didn't even rehearse that, but he's able to name off the top of his head what some of these challenges are because it's cyclical. All of us go through it. As a brand new agent in the game, Chad, I didn't have any leads. I didn't know what to say. I lacked the
Right.
confidence. And then you start getting leads and closing deals, and then you lack the systems in the process. And then you start hiring agents and you don't know who to hire, or you hire the wrong people. And then you start your own brokerage and don't know how to manage a P&L. You start exposing yourself, et cetera, et cetera. So, team, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you need to identify who you're reaching out to and understanding that that person has a handful of pain points that all of us have experienced. Therefore, you're going to tailor your listing presentation, your conversation to that person. You might not talk to them about having enough leads if they're a team leader with enough leads. You might not talk to them about owning their own brokerage if they're only a team leader. So that's why this portion's important. This part's important. Know who you're talking to, do some homework, and then you tailor the conversation from there. If you're asking yourself, well, hey, Gabe, I don't know how to tailor it. I don't know who I'm talking to. This is where you reach out to a Chad, reach out to myself or whoever your sponsor is and say, hey, I need help tailoring the conversation here. Can you guide me a bit? Go ahead, Chad. Back over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, we're going through these slides today to work to get everyone here to be able to just level up just that one step forward so that you have a better understanding about Realty of America. Realty, Mark and Eddie are so good at creating a buzz.
Hold on. There we go.
That even 6 months into this journey, everybody's asking about Realty of America. And so to Gabe's point, yes, if we can get you to where you can listen and you can identify their pain points and you can speak to it, great. And then if it reaches a point where you do need to bring one of us or someone in, absolutely do that because we're all here to build together. But I do think that every one of us, even if you didn't raise your hand 5 minutes ago, that it was on your radar to attract, you're going to have an opportunity to attract because people right now in real estate are looking for answers and they're probably going to be asking you. And there are a lot of people around me, and the very first time someone asks, they're like, hey, Chad, can you talk to this person? Because there's a lot to learn. And so I love that. We're going to listen. We're going to identify their pain points. We're going to speak to them. And then let's get into some of this so we can start to unpack this. Once we know who we're talking to and we know what some of the pain points are, I think it's important to start off with this story. And when we were in Chicago, I asked Mark and Eddie, hey, how could we explain the two of you, each one of you in one or two sentences? And they were like, yeah, you can't do that. And then they talked for a while and told their story, but I'll attempt it right now. If you're looking on the slide, the agent there on the left, Eddie Garcia, he's the founder. Eddie was born in Mexico City, and both of his parents had been homeless before they had gotten married. And they did not even have enough money to provide food for their two sons. And his father was doing everything he could to provide for the family. When Eddie was about 5 years old, the entire family immigrated to the United States. They moved to Chicago, a rough part of Chicago. And it was his father's dream that both Eddie and his brother go to college. Eddie did not want to go to college. He wanted to get into real estate. And he asked for his father's blessing to get into real estate. His father said, listen, I wanted you to go to college, but if you'll give me your word that you'll become a millionaire by the time you're 30, then I'll give you permission to get into real estate. And by the time Eddie was 26, he sold 104 homes in 1 year with no admin and no buyer's agents. He worked night and day. He actually postponed starting a family or getting married at all. until he could fulfill his commitment to his father. Fast forward to in 2012, he started a brokerage because he was succeeding so well. All his friends wanted to get into real estate. And by the time he launched Realty of America, that brokerage had grown to over 450 agents, selling over 1,800 homes a year. He owned 7 verticals: a real estate school, a mortgage company, a title company, the brokerage, the second highest producing all-state branch in the state of Illinois, a construction company, and a staging company. And he had purchased 125 homes, and he's never had a mortgage before in his life. Pretty phenomenal. I'd never met anyone like him. And then Mark Demas, who is on the right of the screen, was in 2022 the #1 agent in the entire country for the year. He sold 3,200 homes in 1 year. #1 agent, #1 in the world, #1 in the nation, I guess. And so the two of them united together to build Realty of America. And so what we pointed out in Chicago is that this is the law of the lid. An organization cannot grow beyond the leadership lid of the founder, of the leader. And so what I saw was validity when I met them. And I've never met anybody that's done anything like it. And their dream was to build a company that was built on a model that is the future of real estate. And we're going to get into what that looks like here in a minute. Gabe, anything to add there?
The story's important, ladies and gentlemen. This is why Chad's telling you. The facts will get you to think. The story will get you to move.
Yeah.
Right? You go to a car lot to go buy a car. You already know the miles per gallon. You already know the power steering, the power windows, the sound system it has. You already know those things. But it isn't until you get inside the car and you feel something that you feel convicted to go ahead and make that purchase or to make that buying decision. When someone feels that home feels like home to them, they write the offer. The facts are on the paper: 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Same thing here.
Right.
Facts tell, the stories sell. So you have to tell the story of our founders so that they start to feel the why behind it and who's behind it. Otherwise, it's just another cloud-based brokerage.
Correct. That's so good. And a little bit more on the feeling side of this. Eddie, they were both about to retire. You know, Mark's 50, Eddie just turned 40. They were both about to retire. They were so successful. They were both going to sail off into the sunset. Mark's building an amazing home that overlooks the Pacific Ocean in Mexico. Eddie was going to retire in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's his spot. So Eddie woke up in the middle of the night and had a dream about Realty of America. He went to GoDaddy in the middle of the night and bought realtyofamerica.com for $18,000. And then waited until 8 a.m. And he said to himself, well, if I'm going to, if this is real, and I'm going to build a company that's not just about money, it's about legacy, then I've got to get the #1 agent in America. And so at 8:01, he called Mark Demas. They were good friends, but they hadn't spoken in about 18 months. And he said, hey, Mark, how's it going? I know you're building a new house. I know that you have a new son. And Mark Demas said, hey, you're welcome to come down, see the house. You're welcome to come see the family. And Eddie said, I'll be there tomorrow. So Eddie flew immediately to meet Mark Demas. On the third morning of him being there, they had a breakfast. And Eddie said, look, if you retire, you've accomplished a lot. People will be proud of you, but in 3 years, you'll be forgotten. What would happen if we combined forces and we built something that became a legacy? And Mark asked him 3 questions. He said, is it going to have rev share? And Eddie said, yes, that's the future. He says, is it going to have equity? And he said, yes. And he said, is it going to go public? And he said, yes. And Mark said, I'm in. And then they went to a conference shortly after that, and they got 1,000 commitments in 3 days. So to Gabe's point on the story and the emotion behind it, there has never been a real estate company in the history of North America that has been founded at this level of collaboration or agent success. And that's what separates this from any other cloud-based brokerage or any other company of any model for that matter. All right? All right, let's keep going. So there's Eddie, there's Mark. Now let's start to diagnose what's going on in the industry. Last year, 2024, 71% of all the realtors in the country did not even sell a home. And if there's about 1.5 million realtors, that means about 1 million agents did not sell a house last year. But yet agents are working harder than ever before, and they're not building long-term wealth. And let me add this. Every brokerage and every independent broker, every traditional brokerage, and every cloud-based broker for that matter, will tell you that they're going to help you with training, support, and leads. But yet 71% of the realtors did not sell a house. Something is amiss. Something's not working in the industry, right? And so now we start to get into the more traditional model. Gabe, you want to grab anything on this?
Yeah. So the issue that we're having back in, well, any company really, for the most part, which is what makes us a little different, is the training and the support. The way I look at agents and the commitment in a relationship is that when they join a company, it's like that of a newborn baby. You have to be there to feed them, protect them, help them out. And most of the time, these agents are going on without the support. So you might have the next Chad Smith, Gabe Mendez underneath you or near you or DMing you right now. They might be currently texting you and calling you, but they're lacking the guidance in the conversation, knowing what words to say, how to close, what to do. And this is where Realty of America, our value proposition, is really strong. And I'm going to segue into something right now, Chad, just because it's naturally going there right now. But I want to touch on us as leaders who are on this call Monday, 2:30 over there Central Time, 12:30 over here Monday Pacific Standard Time, that we're on this call listening because we're leading from the front. And if we want our team members to duplicate the results that we've created as leaders, our agents are going to do what we do, not what we say to do. They're going to mimic our behavior. So therefore, if we want them to be successful and join the training, guess what we need to do? Join the training. If we're telling them to use the systems and the software, the product that's available, which by the way, what Realty of America is creating is second to none, then you got to be on there as well using these things and practicing what we're preaching here. So minimal support and training, that's the struggle of these agents that are out there. Most of them that are out there don't get what's promised to them, or they get some antiquated, outdated information that used to work that doesn't work anymore. Listen, that whole buy or die mentality, it's a good mindset to have as a salesperson. It doesn't work in sales anymore. You try to force a buyer or a seller to make a decision, sign the contract by forcing them, by being aggressive, like how we were taught back in the day from the Mike Ferry systems, which I love Mike Ferry, but how we used to be taught back in the day. If we try to do that nowadays, we're getting seen out the door. It's important that we're upgrading our skill set, Chad knows this as good as anyone else does. Our mirroring and matching, nonverbal communication, teaching these agents how to communicate, how to handle objections, how to close, how to dress, how to act on social media, how to act offline, how to conduct themselves like a business professional. And this is why this company is so special, because this company was made by top producers for top producers. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a top producer to be here, but if your mindset is you want to continue growing and pushing forward, you're at the right place. So minimal training, most companies, that's what they're struggling with. Either it doesn't exist, or they're getting trained an idea that someone taught them a long time ago, but just isn't effective. Here, you have people like Chad, Gabe, Andres Serafini, other big leaders across the country that are willing to give their time, energy, and resources to making sure you have the updated scripts, objection handling, knowing how to mirror and match, knowing how to post, like Robert Cedeno teaches us all the time. And it's important for us to plug in. So that part for me, Chad, is really sensitive because I was that new agent at one point. I did get overpromised and under delivered, but it wasn't until I met a mentor who grabbed my hand and said, "This is how you actually do it." And if it wasn't for those mentors I had in my life, I wouldn't be in this position. So that's all.
I agree completely. Let me chime in with this, Gabe. This is important. We did not get to the point to say this in Chicago. So let me say this. Model matters. Okay. So I'm putting myself in everyone on this call's shoes right now. If we were presenting and you were talking to an agent right now and you're showing them this, you have to understand it's not that other companies are bad or other agents are bad, but if you are, for decades, if you've been operating in a model where the agents are not owners, there's no win-win for a legacy broker agent to share their best practices with you. From the past decades, the top brokerages, why would they help you? It doesn't necessarily help them. But when you're operating in a model like Realty of America, where Eddie's mantra in Chicago with his 450 agent office was, so when you joined our brokerage, someone reached out their hand and lifted you up. And so we expect you, when you become that top producer, to reach down your hand and lift up the next person. So that's the heart of this company. And that's why they attracted someone like Gabe Mendez. That's why they attracted someone like me or the other people on the Real Solution from this call, because we're the same way. And so it matters that there was no path to passive income in the industry by and large. There's a couple of companies that have it. But because what we're about to show you, we're all owners. If I help Vanessa Sanchez win, if I help, let's see, Elizabeth win, if I help Gillian win, if I help, looking for folks in Oregon or California, I don't know, Sandra win, if I help Lorenzo win, the valuation of Realty of America grows. So the model is built for all of us to win together, okay? All right, so let's keep going. So now we get to this 75-year-old model. This is the way every company was built. Think of all the major companies of the last 75 to 100 years. They have an international headquarters. There's like one guy or one lady that owns an entire region of the US, like all of California or Texas, Oklahoma, all the way up to the Midwest. And then, hey, Connor, I lost my camera. Then you would have local owners. That's like your franchise owner who basically, they would own between 4 streets in your city and they could only recruit within a certain area. And then they would have all the risk by hiring their team leader and their productivity coach and all those things. And then the agents would pay splits, and then that would cover the cost of the managers. The local owner would get paid, the regional owner would get paid, the international company would get paid. But here's what Realty of America is. Realty of America eliminates the regional owner, the local owner, and the manager. All that expense is gone. The international company sits below each of us, and the agents are the owners of the company. I cannot emphasize how important this is. We are the owners through equity ownership, and then because all of those expenses are eliminated, they're able to share revenue as we grow the company. Anything to add there?
Nope, you know this spot on.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to sharing this one. This is really going to connect because a bunch of you in the winner circle are excelling in social media. So, and Gabe, let's go ahead and hit the pyramid scheme objection while we're on this, because I'm sure, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've heard someone say, isn't that a pyramid? Or isn't that MLM? Or isn't that rev share like multi-level or recruiting only or this or that? If you've heard anything like that, put a thumbs up in the chat. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what no one is saying. No one is saying that YouTube monetizing their channel is a multi-level marketing campaign, right? We live in a creator economy. We live in a community, a digital community economy. This is the world we live in. So think about YouTube for a minute. Anyone in the world can open up a YouTube account and they can create some content. Anybody can make a video. Our grandmas all have probably made a video on YouTube at this point. But only the content creators that deliver the most amount of value, they got that sticky factor. And they're experts in a particular topic, whether it's playing golf or building motorcycles or real estate, you name it, cats, you name it. There's a channel for somebody, right? And when you can deliver real value and build a community on YouTube, that produces revenue for YouTube through advertising and sales. And what YouTube does is it rewards those content creators that build large communities. All Realty of America is it is a real estate version of a digital community platform. So when agents join Realty of America, any agent can grow their business when they join Realty of America. But the agents that deliver real value, like Gabe Mendez, got everybody on this winner circle call. He's pouring into you guys every week. And he's building a community of agents by helping you learn what he learned, all of those, the blood, sweat, and tears that he's put in to get to the point where he's got his YouTube channel. He's got that 125,000 follower Instagram. He's got systems and processes and real estate knowledge and leadership knowledge, and he's pouring into you guys. Well, he becomes a magnet, and that helps the platform of Realty of America produce revenue through home sales. And revenue share is simply rewarding Gabe in the same way that YouTube rewards content creators. All right, let's take a pause there. Type in the chat if you have an aha so far. What's a takeaway or a thought that needs to be repeated? Everybody on the call, let's get a bunch of them. What's your takeaway so far?
West Coast, I need you guys to show up. Texas is blowing up this chat right now. Winter Circle, where are you guys at? California, Oregon. Make some noise in the chat. Let's see here.
No ceilings, nice. What are some other takeaways? Facts tell, stories sell, good. YouTube analogy, good. What else? What else? Lead from the front, good. Good, Miguel. Love that. Opportunity. Building a model that helps everyone win. Teammates mimic what team leaders want us to do. Opportunities are endless. Leaders walking the walk. Collaboration. Do what you expect others to do. Love that, Brandon. YouTube analogy. Okay, love that. Love that.
Yeah, Chad, you really nailed it with that YouTube analogy, buddy. I mean, that one's going to really make it just resonate with so many people. That was great.
Right. Nobody pushes back on that. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that this is the way. One of the ways I explain it all the time is this. If Gabe, have you ever done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yes.
You have? Okay. What about karate?
No.
Okay. All right. So if Gabe and I decided that we had a new goal that we were going to become black belts in karate, and we were going to start this coming Saturday, and we picked a gym, we went and walked into the gym, and the guy that was going to teach us how to become black belts in karate was wearing a white belt. We would turn around and we'd walk out. Because I'm not going to go through all that pain to learn from somebody who's never done it. Because of this platform, you can learn from a Chad Smith, from a Ryan Smith, from a Miguel Escobedo, from an Angelique Burkett, from a Brooks or a Jason, from a Gabe Mendez, from a Robert Sedeno, from a Max and Claudia. You can learn from the best because we're all building on the platform together. When you're at the company that they don't have ownership in, they're going to hire a white belt to try to teach you real estate. That's why 71% didn't sell a house last year, because the broker hired a white belt to teach their brand new agents real estate. All right, so our financial growth model is designed to build agent wealth, income, and business success. So what do we have here? We have higher agent commission splits. So there are people on this call that just came from Compass. They were paying 6 figures a year in splits. There was no cap. And I want to get to this before we're already running out of time. But let me pause here before we even get to the splits and everything. I want to challenge everybody on this call. When you get to your new brokerage, when you get to Realty of America, there are things about it in certain ways that maybe are more expensive than your previous broker. Like if you came from an EXP like Gabe and I, there's a couple things that I would say in the short run are probably a little bit more expensive than the previous broker. But I want everybody to think about this. If there's one thing I could accomplish today, other than just all of our communities getting to know each other, it would be that we learn how to do two things. One is you wear your agent hat when you're growing your business, but every one of us now, as soon as you close your first transaction, you're a stakeholder, you're a shareholder in this company. And so when there's a transaction fee, when there's a per transaction E&O insurance, when there are little things that don't quite match your previous broker, understand that we all have a vested interest that Realty of America succeed as a company, and that it is profitable every 7 days. So I could rant on this for a while. When I sat in my mentor's Keller Williams office, my goal was to help him become the most profitable Keller Williams team leader that had ever existed, because I wanted him to succeed. I wanted to help his dreams come true. That's how when I'm sitting in that seat, that's my goal. And I want to be the best team agent that he had ever seen. That's because by doing that, then I could expect someone else to want to be that for me. In order to have it, you must first be that.
Yeah.
And so what I'm working to communicate to everyone is, you own Realty of America. You own Realty of America. And so we have a capping system, but there are a couple of little fees in there that will help you as the owner of Realty of America over the long run as we become profitable. Because once you attract even a handful of agents, 4 agents, you attract 4 cappers in this company, and you are 100%, you're getting paid to be here for the rest of your career. All right, so higher commission splits, revenue share opportunity, training and mentorship from real producers that are still in the game, and stock and equity ownership. Anything to add there, Gabe?
How many? Yes. How many here? Drop it in the chat. How many of you guys, agents who are in the business, either new or experienced, doesn't matter. How many of you know of a broker or an agent, solo, not a team, someone that has sold a listing that is over $200 million? Does anyone here know of a person that's ever sold a listing over 200 million? Drop it in the chat if you have. Okay, does anyone know of anyone who's ever sold over a listing over 100 million? Drop into the chat if you know of someone who sold over 100 million. Not total volume, just one listing. Okay, what about 50 million? A $50 million listing or more. Does anyone know of anyone personally or know of anyone? No. Okay. The reason I'm asking this question, well, Ryan says, oh no, on TV, yeah. Okay.
All right.
We have someone in our company. His name is Andres Serafini. Andres Serafini is out of Washington, D.C. This guy is the definition of true luxury.
Right.
I think his average price point's about 10 or 15 million.
Yep.
Andres Serafini just closed escrow, and I think it was in Nevada, on a $300 million listing. $300 million listing in Nevada. This guy is the definition. And you want to know what he did 2-3 months ago? His name was called by corporate. And they said, hey, we want you to do a training on how to break into the luxury market. This man was scheduled for 45 or 50 minutes to give a luxury training. And I thought he was going to get on a call and he would just have some notes or off the top of his mind and just share some experiences that he had, tell a few stories, because this is what most trainers do. They'll tell a story, they'll go on a tangent, you'll pick up a few golden nuggets. Let me tell you what Andres Serafini did is he had a PowerPoint, a multiple point PowerPoint slide deck ready to teach you everything about luxury, how to break into the market, how to dress, the language to use, who to approach, Don't approach the money person, he said. You approach the people on his team. You're going to approach the CPA, the financial advisor. This is what you're going to say to them. This is what you're going to avoid. These people like hanging out in these places. When they're thinking about relocating, have you thought about the wife's hair salon, the private school, the drivers they're going to need? You have to start thinking about all these things because they're shifting their entire lifestyle when they're ready to make a move. He opened up so many ideas that I had never thought about when it went into breaking into luxury. And here's a cherry on top. The 45 minutes that he was scheduled for, he went on to go for 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours of pure luxury talk. So team, the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because you have people like Andres Serafini, Monday through Friday, going on the ROA world, opening up their playbook on how to break into real estate and training. So on the training, mentorship, and tech, this is something I'm really big on. I want to start seeing all of our faces on these calls Monday through Friday and leading by example and showing our team how we get it done. Because if we start showing up and bringing the energy, guess what happens? One of these days, you might want to offer a free pass to someone you're looking to onboard. And you might want to say, hey, you know what? Chad Smith out of Texas, he's doing a training on how he has such a beautiful setup in his home office. Why don't you come and join the call? He'll show you how to build a school platform, or excuse me, his LMS platform and everything else he does. And you have 200-300 agents across the country who are loud, making noise, dropping fire emojis. Yeah. And that prospect that you bring on board might say, wow, is this what it's like all the time?
Alive, right.
And we end up creating that culture. So team, show up to the calls, show up to the calls, lead by example. Remember, your team's going to do what you do, not what you say. So show up. That's all, Chad. Go ahead.
I love that. You know, and there are agents on this call too. Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith has sold 3,000 homes in his career, and he taught his entire listing system on the ROA training about a week ago. Jason Breitenstein taught his buyer. Jason was a regional trainer for a new construction company for 8 or 13 years before he even joined with our team. He's sold over 500 homes since he's joined the team. Jason sold 100 homes in 1 year, and he holds the record on the Chad Smith team. Jason has sold 26 homes in 1 month.
Oh.
Both Ryan and Jason went beyond 30 minutes past their 1 hour mark just to give back into the Realty of America environment. That's the culture that we're building. So love that. And Andreas is going to be on America's Real Estate Show at 11 o'clock Central this coming Friday. Boom. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So we have 4 core values at Realty of America. And Gabe really impressed me the first time that we were ever on a Zoom together, because you just really leaned into integrity. But the core values for Realty of America are integrity, empowerment, innovation, and community impact. And Gabe, I'll let you talk about integrity. And the one thing I'll add to that is my favorite definition of integrity is the engineer's term, which is the state of being undivided, which ties perfectly into what you like to say about it. Go ahead.
Chad, we're coming up on the time. Do you want me to talk on that, or do you want to move on to open a queue at 12:53?
Yeah,
Let me know.
We'll keep. But well, I'll just say it in one sentence for you. Gabe's big thing is be the same person all the time. Be the same person online as you are with your team, as you are in private, and that's integrity. Okay, good. All right, so let's keep going. So we've got the ROA Success Vault. So in addition to the training that is already happening at 1 o'clock Central, Monday through Friday, Realty of America has asked me to build this out. So with the Real Solution, we built out a training that encompassed everything that we did to sell 350 homes in a year. We've added to that, and we've built out the training so that, like what we said at the beginning of the call, you can now go in as we launch this, and it's going to ask you a series of questions. The brand new agents will get a 100-day playbook. We're going to expose you to every single thing that you would need to know in real estate. But if you're a seasoned agent, you could jump in there, and it's going to ask you, do you have more than enough leads? And if not, we're going to plug you into our mindset training and our modern agent lead generation. Then, are you struggling with conversion? If you're struggling with conversion, we're going to teach you about overcoming objections, assertiveness, nonverbal communication, scripts and dialogues, etc., all your presentations. Then we have the milestones of the transaction. Then our successful closing playbook. If you have all of those things happening, your closing transactions. Angelique Burkett, who's on the call, has done this for us for about 18 months. She's agreed to do it for Realty of America. She built her business through sphere of influence. So we're going to give everyone in Realty of America the play to run for the upcoming month on how to pour into your sphere of influence. So we've got all that going. Leverage is about building systems, tools, and processes, AI, hiring your admin so that you can build leverage into your life. And then finally, we're going to write a book with Mark and Eddie, blueprinting the path forward for real estate agents for the next decade plus, that we're going to call the Infinite Agent Model. So all that's coming. Then we've got our support, which is support@realtyofamerica.com. I believe the response time for their support tickets is less than 10 minutes as of right now. And they've been hiring people from the other cloud-based brokerages that can really make sure that we just grow on top of that. And I think the key to this is, remember, it's a startup. We are owners, and we bring solutions, not problems. Gabe, you and I didn't even talk about this, but one of the takeaways I got from the Sunday is leaders bring solutions, and they also, if there are problems, they bring their problems up. They don't bring their problems down and taint the water that they're drinking from. I thought that was a powerful, powerful statement. Okay.
Yeah, leaders, if you guys have anything going on in your personal teams or in your revenue share network, side note, make sure to take those problem challenges upward. Don't open up and engage in dialogue with your downline, your team, letting them know what's going on. Keep everything private. Your job as a leader is to shelter that, protect that culture. A strong leader, good character. You don't do that. You take it up to the leadership and you vent up. Vent up.
That's it. That's it. Very well. Very well said. So the community give back, this really does go to the heart of who Eddie is. So Eddie, coming from those humble backgrounds, when he was growing up, his family did not have enough money to have Thanksgiving dinners. And so for many years now in Chicago, Realty of Chicago, before it was Realty of America, they give away thousands of turkeys per year. And even though they announced the national launch of Realty of America on September 13th of last year, we turned right around, and within 60 days, we did the first ROA national turkey giveaway, like right away. And so we're going to do that across the entire nation coming up this year. Go ahead, Gabe.
Hey, Chad, we're coming up to the top of the hour here. Maybe it might be a good idea if we summarize best practices with recruiting and kind of just leave everyone on that, and then maybe answer a few questions. So I know we had the notes from that talk, or maybe if you just want to kind of pick some ideas on best practices, there you go.
Yeah, so that does cover the deck that you guys haven't seen yet. The rest of it is what most of you have probably seen. And, you guys can let us know. Gabe and I, we're willing to continue we could do another one of these. You guys could come jump on a real solution call one day or something like that. Whatever we want to do there. As far as best practices, let's cover a couple things. When it comes to pyramid scheme, we just want to remind everybody that.
Chad,
go ahead.
Let me just ask everyone in the chat. Hey, chat, can you guys drop it in there? Would you guys like to have a part 2 to this, so we can go? So right now what we did was part 1 is we wanted to take you through the slide deck that corporate had us create when we're pitching this. That's the slide deck that corporate wanted us to pitch when we're presenting this. What Chad and I want to do is a part 2 where we go deeper into how we're actually having these conversations, best practices, what to avoid, what not to say, how to say it, so you can start recruiting people on a higher level. Can you guys drop it in the chat? Let me see. I don't think I see anyone commenting yet. Let me open up the chat.
Yeah, there's a bunch of yeses in there.
Okay. So then, Chad, maybe next Monday, same time with you and your crew?
Yeah, that might be the easiest way to do it.
But if you want to go ahead, we have a couple of minutes, so why don't you wrap it up with what you were going to say?
Yeah, just a couple things on it. One thing I think we should go ahead and say is we have to make sure that you do not solicit agents that own a franchise. If it's a broker that is part of a KW, an EXP, a Century 21 Coldwell Banker Compass, if they are a broker, you can get sued for what's called tortious interference. So it's very, very important that we do not do that, right? So that would be a do not do. Another thing that we never do is we never talk bad about another brokerage.
Yes.
We can talk about model in general. We can talk about the things that are great about Realty of America, but the same way that you would never ever talk bad about another agent, we don't want to talk bad about another brokerage. We don't need to talk trash or talk down about another brokerage in order to share the value that we have here. So I really think the thing to wrap out with is know the story of ROA, understand a little bit about the model, the fact that with a cloud-based brokerage, it's more like a platform and you can build your own community within it. And then just make sure that you're solving to their problems and then ask for help. And then the last thing I would say, Gabe, and you did such a good job with this, is plug into the training that's already available. And if anybody needs anything from me, reach out to me, let me know.
Absolutely. So team, last thing I'll say to all of you is this. I'm going to speak to Chad offline. We'll probably work on the part 2 to get you all back on it. But yes, wrapping up with some rapid fire closing thoughts. When you're recruiting, again, don't bash. We're not here to talk poorly about other people. Stay away from recruiting brokers who are still in contract. There's a couple of other key points that we won't have the time to get into this afternoon, but we do have a list of all the best practices, do's and do nots. And so we'll share that with all of you on the second call. And we'll go deeper into how to recruit, what to say, what to pitch, those kind of things and other things with that. So Chad, where can they find you?
Yes, I've got it there at the bottom of my Zoom screen. Chad Smith, Real Solution on Instagram would be the easiest way for you to get to me.
Cool, team. And if you guys want to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, it's at Gabe Mendez. I dropped the link in the chat. You guys can just click on it, send me a message, DM, let's connect. But hey, Chad, this was such a pleasure, man. I'm looking at it. We had 70 people on for an hour. Great call today, team. If you guys loved it, drop some fire emojis in the chat. I'd love to take a photo of this and post it on IG and give some people some FOMO. So if you guys found value, drop some emojis in the chat. And let's see here. Oh, there we go. There they are. They're awake. They're awake. I see it. Let me grab some of this here. Awesome job. Good call today. Good call today. There we go. Look at that. Chad, man, it was
all right.
We're gonna have to do part 2, buddy. We're gonna do a part 2.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate all you guys. It was nice to meet everybody in San Diego, Oregon, everybody in the winner's circle. Gabe, I appreciate you.
God bless you, brother. See you guys later. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye, everyone.